Totally different.
Hello and welcome to Bear Football here on the Barroom Network. John Buffone alongside Danny Shimon and Coach T. The Bears fall to the Minnesota Vikings by a score of 19-13. Second half not as blah as the first half, for a couple of things happening in that second half that adjusted a lot of things here. But guys, honestly, the Bears fall to 1-5. Just kind of another lackluster performance. Let's go around the horn with initial reactions. Danny, we'll start with you.
Yeah, John, like you said, initially that the start of the game, I don't know if you guys agree or don't agree. I think the team just didn't seem like it was prepared, didn't come out motivated. I think they came out more motivated against Washington than they did today. I'm not sure why. This is a chance for them to come out and put two games back to back together again. But as lackluster as the first half was, they're still down with by one score at halftime. So they're still in the game. And then obviously the injury to Justin happens, and then the sack fumble to with Bajent, and then that scoop and scored, and the Bears were able to come back. You give them credit, in terms of moving down the field. Like looks like that's that late third, early fourth quarter is what they started doing. What I was kind of asking, hoping they do initially was just kind of pound the ball, use the running game to kind of move down a football field, because that's where you can attack this defense here. But got close within the score, but obviously that last interception kind of threw a kind of put a nail in the coffin there. But it's just disappointing loss. Again, another one of those games that stop me if I've heard this before. It's a game the Bears could have won, but they come out on the short end of the stick here and fall to 1-5 now. So very disappointing effort overall.
Coach, obviously the injury to Justin Fields shook things up quite a bit, but the Bears make a kind of a last-ditch effort there towards the end. There is the strip sack of Bajent that got taken back for a touchdown. There was the interception at the end, but overall they tried to make a run at it. What did you see in that second half?
Taking more advantage of the run game like we called for in the first half. But I wanted to take a step back, right, and talk about the mood and the overall feel for the game, right, coming into it. Danny was right. We had an opportunity here coming off a win to stack wins, right? But, what I'm saying, if you ask me, am I surprised at the result, right? The lack of continuity, lack of, fire, the lack of, it seems like kind of, a game plan. It seemed like we were just calling plays again. We kind of reverted back to calling plays on offense versus telling the story with your play calling. I can't say that I'm surprised at the result. You know what I'm saying? I tweeted before the game, watch the running backs. Watch the running backs. You want to see how this game is going to go? Watch the running backs, and don't watch our ability to carry the ball. Watch our ability, watch what we're doing with the running backs outside of the run plays. That'll let you know how this game is going to kind of go. And so I'm not surprised at the result. I had us either winning by 3 or 7 or us losing by 3 or 7, depending on how it goes. It goes back to me. Luke Getsy had an opportunity to show his maturity as a play caller in this opportunity to understand the moment, to read the room and overcome the obstacles of not having his starting running backs. And he didn't step up to the occasion for me. In terms of grading or judging this team is the equivalent to toddlers to me, right? When you hear coaches say we got a football team, this is what they mean. It's just an immature football team. And to add on to that, you speak about the coaching. The coaching is immature, so they don't have situational awareness, and they can't speak to moments like this. So I'm not surprised at the result. So I don't have a whole lot to be bummed out about.
Moving forward, I mean, we're gonna obviously stick around until the press conference with Coach Eberflus to see what the extent of Justin Fields' injury is, whether it's something that he might be able to pop back from next week, or if there's a longer term on this particular injury. But Danny, moving forward, it seemed like they once Fields was out, they did start running the ball with Foreman a lot more. He ends up with 15 carries for 65 yards. Darrington Evans 9 carries for 32. Bayless Jones had 2 carries for 15 yards, but how did you see the play calling being adjusted once Bajent came into the game as opposed to when Justin was in the game?
Yeah, like you said right there, I think they started to rely a little more on the run game. Other than that first series where he had Bajent out there throwing again, and then that sack fumble happened. But I think relying on the run game. That's what I was kind of hoping they'd do. Like I said, coming in just pound the ball, because this is where the Brian Flores defense really was kind of lacking, if you will, and coming into this game was just you can attack them on the run, again, set up that play action. This is a very aggressive, a blitz happy defense that times will bring zero blitz on you, will bring multiple disguise kind of blitzes on you. So that was another aggressive defense where you could have just kind of hopefully control the ball with the rushing attack, and then eventually build your passing game off the play action. And unfortunately that game plan wasn't in effect early on. It got into effect once Bajent got in there a little bit, and then obviously you saw some of the success he had throwing the football as well with those quick releases. So, they were matriculating the football down the football field, and eventually that last play where he underthrew DJ Moore. I'm not sure if his arm was hit. The ball looked a little bit wobbly, or it was just came out of his hands funny. But obviously it was poorly underthrown, and then it was picked off. So, disappointing game plan coming into the game. Kind of called it out early on in the first half. But again, the good news was they were still in the game. The defense, to me, Coach Tia and John, I'm curious. I mean, they looked like they were flying all over the football field. Tremaine Edmonds only was credited with 6 tackles and only 2 pass breakups. But it looked like, to me, it was all over the football field. And I've been hard on that guy. But I think today, to me, I said it was probably his best game as a Bear. But the tackle numbers don't match, that, because he's had bigger tackles in terms of stats other games. But I just felt like he had an impact today in that game. So defensively, there were some positives there. Obviously, Minnesota, they're not a really good rushing game, right? The rushing attack is one of the worst in football. But their passing game was where it kind of led by Kirk Cousins. Now, obviously, we knew that took a ding, missing Justin Jefferson. But they still have some weapons out there. We saw Jordan Addison, the rookie, and KJ Osborne as well, TJ Hawkinson. So they have weapons out there, and I think that's what they ended up, kind of staying on the field, extending drives, and then scoring when they need to. So, not that Minnesota was a great, great team. It was a great victory for them. That this is a game that the Bears, I think that Justin Fields had stayed healthy, could have possibly pulled it out, but that unfortunately doesn't happen. So,
Coach, before we swing it over to the defense, I want to talk about some of the play calling in the future, because let's just, for hypothetical reasons, say Justin Fields will be out for the next 2-3 weeks or whatever. This is obviously we haven't heard anything yet, but let's just say that he will at least miss next week. Hopefully the Bears would get Roschon Johnson back, and they could potentially rely on that running game even heavier next week. Is that kind of how you see them planning around Bajent moving forward?
Yeah, I think if Justin is out, right, I don't think it's gloom and doom for Bears fan, right? And you got to see the game beyond the game, right? So I would say that it might be a blessing in disguise for Luke Getsy. So Danny alluded to, once Bajent came into the game today, right? Somehow it clicked in his mind that he needed to call a more simplified game. Well, he should have started out that way. You know what I'm saying? This Minnesota defense is known to be soft up the middle, right? So if you ground and pound, like Danny said, up through the middle and then try and beat them over the top, a lot of people don't understand when you go play action, right? You go play action from under center, you're going to default to 8-man protection anyway. So you're going to get your shots. So if they're sending numbers, they're sending bodies, you're going to have everything blocked up if they blitz. So it was opportunities. Like, it's this new form of football when I watch in college, when I watch in pros, it's almost like they've forgotten to overlook the fundamentals of football, right? The very basic stuff, right? If nothing is working for me as a play caller, what plays do I default to, right? My powers, my counters, my outside zone, my end zones, my inside zones is going to get me yards. Yeah, I think going forward, he has to call a more simplified game for Bajent, but then take your shots over the top once you get your running game going. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, right? If Justin is there, if we get a running back, do we get our old offense back? So this is something to look out for our listeners. If we get our running back, watch the dramatic change in how your offense operates with a good blocking running back versus when you have guys off the streets. Called it out early. I want to see what happens with it, with Bajan or without Bajan. I think we're going to be a lot more fluid.
Danny, I'm going to kind of bounce that back over to you. If Bajan is the guy next week, or for the first, just in the short term, the foreseeable future, how much of that is going to be on making sure you can ground and pound the ball, and then hopefully sucking them in on some play action again? And it looked like Bajan was okay tossing it down the field whenever he needed to, or whenever he felt that he needed to. So how can they mesh something around what he can do, understanding that he is a undrafted rookie who's just got kind of thrown in there all of a sudden?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what the coach is saying in terms of, you build the game plan around the rushing attack and utilize. And the one thing Bajan, for a kid that's just kind of thrown in there, I saw it in the preseason, like got some nice moxie, solid size, good arm strength. He's a guy that got good pocket presence for a guy that just kind of thrown in there from Division II Shepherd. But I mean, where I kind of disagree, or actually I shouldn't say disagree, I just think what they're going to do, because right now up there in House Hall, it's CYA time. And I think what they're going to do, Luke Getsy and company are going to say, you know what? Let's go out there and say, let's throw Justin out there under the bus. And this is all the problems was on Justin Fields. And let's go out there and let's call these plays, the same plays we've been calling for Justin, for Tyson Bajan. And if he performs, hey, look, it was Justin Fields' fault. Look at Bajan operate this offense. If he doesn't perform, it's a Division II rookie quarterback and blah, 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 and all that stuff. Because right now it's CYA time. To me, in my opinion, we've discussed this, guys, in the past. I think this is a dead coaching staff walking, and I think right now they're just going to try and cover their ass and save their jobs.
Yeah, you bring up what I was going to bring up next, Danny, and Coach, I'll ask you first. How much? I mean, now 1-5, and the coaching staff is probably struggling for its philosophical life here as far as staying in control of this team. How far are we to the point where this is a lame duck coaching staff? Are we past that threshold now, or where are we at?
This is a part that I struggle with, right? Because empathetic, admittedly empathetic for the coaching fraternity, if you will, right? You understand you got a young staff. They don't know what they don't know, and they're OJTing. They're learning on the job, right? So it's more or less do we manage expectations in terms of what do we expect Ryan to do, right? It's all about what we expect Ryan to do, and I'm in my head, if we show any kind of competency football wise, it's tough to say I go for the head guy. Now you can go for the underlings, you can go for the coordinators and start at the lower levels and start firing people and then go from there. But it's hard for me to say if we show any kind of galvanizing, any kind of like if he doesn't lose the locker room, Eberflus may have some supporters in the building. And then, our coordinator might get fired, something like that. But it's the season has to play out, man. It has to play out. I don't like it. I don't like that we have such a young staff and young players. There has to be, what I'm saying, some level of topsy-turvy there when it comes to that. But you never know with this organization, man. We could turn over tables and tear up stuff in our houses. And, bro, they'll bring the same staff back. You know what I'm saying? Coordinators and all. So I would hope they have some kind of logic to how they start firing people when they do, right? Hire some good season. If you don't get rid of the head man, hire some good seasoned coordinators, right? Guys that you don't have to worry about, having ambitions of head coach opportunities in the future that's going to be in place for a while. What's not talked about a lot in social media in the football world is there's some good coordinators out there, right? Both defensively and offensively. There's just not a bunch of them. There's probably going to be about 8 jobs open. And it's going to be about 2 or 3 good guys. It's going to be Mike LaFleur, the guy in Detroit, and the guy in Seattle. And then there's going to be 5 other openings that just the guy is going to get the job. I don't know, man.
And Danny, we've been talking about this, probably since the beginning of the season. You more so than me, as far as you have a young offensive play caller, a first time, still a a head coach that hasn't been a head coach for very long, a new GM, and all of a sudden you have these young players that you're trying to develop, and you didn't really have a quote unquote adult in the room, and you didn't have someone to fall back on with the experience. And so is that ultimately going to be the demise of this coaching staff, where the GM was a first timer, the head coach was a first timer, the offensive coordinator was a first time play caller, and you're trying to develop young players, and you're just hoping that the stars align, and they're not.
Yeah, I mean, and that's been my biggest thing with is when we know last year was the thing where we're going to cut it down, we're going to break down to the studs, and we're going to rebuild it over again. But you have to start with the offense and defensive lines. When you don't do that, you lose me right there. And I think what happened this past offseason in terms of not addressing the defensive line as much as I would like to have seen them do it, that goes to how the defense started off slowly. Now, in terms of what's happening offensively, that goes beyond like my approach here. I'm like, in terms of why this offense just got off to a really slow start, not just a quarterback who admittedly was playing bad, the coaching staff, the play calls, the receivers weren't running, crisp routes. The offensive line looked confused first couple of weeks. I'm not sure what the hell was going on there. Then we saw, a turnaround there versus Denver and versus Washington, albeit versus, lower ranked defense. But hey, there's still NFL players out there. They came out there and it looked like they were a competent offensive staff, and making plays down the field and all that stuff. And now you hope they can adjust. So you lost your quarterback. Or actually, take it back. Before you lost your quarterback, you come into this game and you have an aggressive defensive play caller in Flores across from the football field. Why continue to run those, long, deep routes where, the quarterback's sitting back there taking hits? Now, whether you want to argue whether Justin should have got rid of the ball and all that stuff, fine. That's all, well and fine. But as a play caller, you should put him in position to do what's best for him and get rid of that ball quickly. And again, that's why they're running the ball, getting the quick plays, getting the ball out of his hands so he can avoid it, get some confidence going, get the offense rolling, and now you can start taking some of those shots down the football field. So, I hate just saying, all right, these guys are horrible at their jobs, but I mean, guys, it's been a year and almost 1.5 years. Like, we can tell that this staff is not developing guys the way they should be. I always put it out there. I'm like, all right, who is on this player on this team from last year, young guy, coming to this season has developed, has played better, has shown that this staff has made him better. And that's where I kind of draw the line saying at this point right now, it looks like Justin, that looked like a bad injury, guys. Looked like could be a broken wrist, maybe possible surgery. He could be done for the year. Hopefully it's not. But then again, if that is, he's out for the year. Now you're going with an undrafted free agent, right? Now the question marks at quarterback still are there. Now you have I don't expect him to win another game the rest of the season. I don't know about you guys, but it's going to be difficult to do that, or at least predict a victory in remaining games of the season. That's why I can't see how you cannot clean house, start from scratch, and let the new staff, the new GM, new coach come in and say, all right, well, hey, we want to roll with Justin, or you know what, we want a guy in the draft, or we want a veteran, or whatever. I gotta start scratch, clean for me at least. I just can't see how I can bring everyone back.
And once again, we're not completely sure what that injury is yet. We don't know what the prognosis is, right, or if he's going to be out, or how long he's going to be out for, if he is in fact out. But Coach, what does this do for Justin Fields, who was basically playing to, stick around in Chicago this year? He trying to make his last statement there that he is the guy and he needs to come back. Now he could have that audition time completely taken from him. And then you potentially have a new coaching staff who might want to bring in their guy here. So how much could this actually impact Justin Fields' future as a starting quarterback, or at least with the Chicago Bears, because of this injury?
Yeah, I you know what I'm saying? I'm rooting for him to play, but if he doesn't play because of injury, you know what I'm saying? Who do we have to point the finger at as a result of the play calling? The fans won't care that we have a undrafted free agent rookie from Division II Shepherd out there playing quarterback. They're going to want an NFL offensive coordinator overcome the talent level on a team, the injuries on the offensive line, the injuries of the running back room, and it's going to give us an opportunity to see what Luke has, right? So it's going to be only one person to point the finger at if he doesn't play. So I don't want him to be out. But here again, once again, like I started the week, I said, hey, we're going to see what Luke has without these running backs. It's a big deal to me. Like, I was like, last week, I was like, holy crap, we forgot we don't have running backs. I don't know if anybody caught it during the game, right? But it's when the play was Justin in the game, he's actually looking back and talking to the running back. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I guarantee you, I know the conversation is having with Darrington Everson right now. Where am I going? What play did you call? Who am I blocking? You see Darrington Everson blows a pass pro coverages, strip sack. We talked about it at halftime, and it manifests exactly the way we talked about it. But I want to go back to what Danny said, right? He had a bit of a Freudian slippage there, if you will. He said, we talked about tearing this thing down and building down to the studs. The problem is when you tore it down, there were no studs there. I don't know what we're working on. That's some what's that new stuff that they're using to kind of build buildings, whatever. They're using silly putty or whatever down there. But they had no studs to start with to tear down with. There were no true studs. It was just guys, right? And then you go fast forward, you put just guys in the coaching positions. I just think we got to make a decision. We can't say we have young players and young staff, man. And as empathetic as I am to these guys, and as much as I don't want to see a total rebuild, it might be. And starting at the lower level, you know what I'm saying? There's again, I don't want to sound redundant, but there's guys out there that can coach ball, that seasoned vets that know Luke's library of answers are just not there. You know what I'm saying? You have to have a library of answers. Oh, I can recall from this game where this happened, or I went up against this type of coordinator before. Oh, yeah, let me dust off a little piece of that gut game plan, copy and paste here, and see how it fits what we're trying to do here. He just doesn't have a library to go to so he can go into a game. And people don't realize to this, too, also, how that feeds into the players, how it feeds into the quarterback. Like, as a player, you feel that. Like, you're like, man, okay, we got a game plan, but am I 1,000% confident in what we're about to do? Like, that's when you get the kind of guys playing around and you look like, man, where's the juice? This team has no swag, bro. They have no juice. Even in our win last week, it was the driest football celebration. Even though we were dancing around stuff, it was just the most corny thing that I've ever seen in my football life. Like,
they didn't have any practice. They
haven't won like what were we doing, bro? It was crazy. It was like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm not a builder, but if you tear something down, property down, don't you build from the foundation up, right? And what's the foundation of a football team? A defensive and offensive line.
Yeah, you got to.
It's like Ryan Poles tore it down and he went hired a roofer.
Yeah,
it's like I don't get it.
We're gonna get some nice windows.
But he lost me there at that point.
Well, I mean, Danny, I'm going to kind of ask you the same question. How much, and now I know that the Bears presser is about to start, so I might have to cut you off here, but how much of this injuries could impact Justin Fields' future with this team?
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, if he's out for the year, hopefully, God forbid, he's not out for the entire year. But if he is, I mean, that's just another question mark that hopefully a new staff or a new regime comes in, we'll have to answer. Now, that staff and regime, depending on who they are, I'm assuming they've watched Justin Fields tape with Ohio State and at here with the Bears and see what they could do with him. If they come out and say, you know what, we can't win with this kind of quarterback. We want a traditional pack passing quarterback, whatever it is. They got the guys in the draft and they like those guys better, or if they like a veteran that's available in the free agent market, they go out and get them. You have to give them, to be fair, you have to give the new staff their right to call who they want to start, building the program with. So that's where it sucks. In terms of Justin Fields, he's a guy that I'm confident that will, if it's not here, it's going to be somewhere else where he's going to go and he's going to have the opportunity to become a damn good player in the NFL moving forward. But unfortunately, I just feel like it may not be here in Chicago just because of all the different circumstances around this organization.
You're looking at his stats there before he had to leave the game because of injury. 6 of 10 for 58 yards, 8 rushes for 46 yards, 0 touchdowns and interceptions. Also sacked 4 times. Coach, we talked about this a little bit at halftime, but I want to see how you thought how it progressed in the second half. Was there were some injuries on the O-line that obviously shook some things up. What did you think about how the performance of the offensive line in the second half as they progressed from the first half?
Yeah, I think they are who they are, right? They're gonna be who they are. They're gonna have guys go down, come up. We're gonna have immature bobbles or missed snaps and stuff like. They are who they are. You know what I'm saying? For me, when it comes to this offensive line or our protection programs, it always boils down to the tight ends and the running backs for me, right? These guys are who they are, right? Who up front can win one-on-ones, like that we trust to win one-on-ones. You know what I'm saying? You got a rookie right tackle that's going to be spotty here and there, depending on who he's going up against. You know what I'm saying? You got Nate Davis, who's performing better over the last few weeks. Skip over the center because those guys get pushed back in the quarterback's lap all the time. Larry Boring was questionable. We can only really count on Tevin when he's in there. So they are who they are. That's why the running backs and the tight ends become so much more important to our protection programs with this football team, and why I emphasize them so much, because we can't line up like the great teams. Watch as the season progresses and we get further and deeper into the seasons. Watch the teams that stick around for a while. The San Francisco's, the Philadelphia's, the Miami's, right? You're going to see that those teams can block 5-man protection at a high clip. They don't need a whole bunch of chips, help, and all this other stuff, because they got 5 studs up front that can handle their business. And teams are forced to bring extra bodies because they can't get there with their 3, 4, 5-man rushes. You know what I'm saying? These guys can win one-on-ones. You have a young, immature football team like us, and you got a GM, like Danny says, that don't go out and get you studs. He's playing, he's building a foundational silly putty. Then you have what you have. So, and that's, again, that's part of the equation that Luke's going to have to solve over the next several weeks too. Like, it's going to be, you know what I'm saying? I think without Justin, it's going to be laser focused from the fan base on Luke and Eberflus, and they're going to get all they have. Now, the part that I hate, but Danny's right about, but I just dislike this about football. It's going to be the political game that happens after this week. It's going to be the CYA cover your 6 type of stuff, and people throwing people out there to just see, you know, what they can do or what they got to do to save their job. And if, again, it's a huge target on that coordinators, and how, depending on how bad it gets, you know what I'm saying, it could be the head coach too.
Yeah, that's why I don't see the game plan changing, Coach. Even though you and I agree, it should be based, if it's Bajan starting, it should be based around the running attack and play action and all that stuff. But I think he's going to go out there and say, listen, I'm going to run my plays, because if Bajan does it, I'm like, hey, listen, it was a quarterback, guys.
I get that.
My fault.
No, I get it. I agree.
I think that's how they're attacking, unfortunately.
Another guy that we were keeping our eye on this game, but maybe it's not fair to judge it holistically, although he didn't do very well in the first half either, was Darnell Mooney going to be able to step up and be that real number 2? Because this is a guy that's playing for a contract as well. He wants to be extended. He wants to get paid. Only 2 catches for 48 yards. Obviously, with Justin Fields going out, the game plan changed a little bit, but it's not like he was lighting up the scoreboard before that. What do we think about is a potential future, Coach, with Darnell Mooney in this offense? Because if they're going to keep him, they got to pay him, or they could potentially go out and draft the guy. What do you think about his future here with the Bears?
It's hard to say, because now, like you said, you're forced to pay a guy that has no production. I think if the organization keeps him, it's going to have to be on a real organization friendly deal. It's going to have to be Darnell taking a discount and saying, listen, I know I haven't done a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? The numbers warranted, and we say, let me take the safe deal. But as far as the game plan for today is concerned, I never expected Darnell to come out and light it up today, because I thought Cole or Tunyon would have been second in the progression if Minnesota had a strategy to take DJ away, that Cole and Tunyon perhaps would go off first before Darnell, because just how they generally line up the sets they use, 12-man protection over 11-man protection, and in the progression, unless they slid Darnell Mooney closer to the formation in some kind of nasty look off tackle to get him closer to progression, closer to the quarterback's eyes, that was the only way he was going to go off today. So I'm not surprised he didn't have a crazy 100-yard day or something like that. But we have to again, it sounds like a broken record, but we have to find a guy that can say, I know how to get this guy the ball. I know how to spread the ball around and get it to all of my players, and I have a package for everybody in given situation. Now, bright side, and it may not have been on offense, but I was happy to see Velus Jones actually get his hands on a football, more touches, if you will, whether it was in a return game or offense. I'm just glad to see the guy get his hands on the ball more and start building his confidence for whatever's to come.
Danny, going back to that, the Mooney conversation, as far as, is this a guy that is playing for his life in Chicago too? Because you're gonna have to pay him if you want to keep him. And we've had positive signs in years past from Darnell Mooney that you think that he could potentially be a real strong number 2, but they're not working him in, or he's not making the plays? Is this potentially a guy that is playing out his time in Chicago before he moves on?
Well, it all depends on obviously if there's a new regime in here, how they view Darnell Mooney. But for me, I think Mooney is still a talented receiver. Maybe he's not a number 2. He's definitely not a number 1. Maybe he's number 3. Maybe he's best slotted in that role as a number 3. If you're the Bears and you stay status quo and you have a high pick, you get a guy like a Marvin Harrison Jr. or a Keon Coleman from Florida State. Those are true, big guys, big receivers. You can slide Mooney over to a number 3, and then you can fill around them in terms of the rest of the receiving core. So, I don't think he's going to go out there command top dollar. To be honest with you, I could be totally wrong about that. We'll see in the offseason, but I think you could bring it back to a modest deal, maybe even 1 year short-term prove-it deal. But again, it all kind of depends on who's going to be here in terms of the guy making the shots or making the calls on re-signing players, the staff, so on and so forth. So I still think Mooney's a talented receiver. I still would like to have him on my team at a reasonable price, but I don't think he's going to go out there and break the bank, to be honest with you.
And another guy who could, I hate to use the word benefit over, but could see more increased action because of a Justin Fields injury could be Roschon Johnson if he gets cleared to play next week. And if they're going to rely heavily on the run game, he could be the guy that's toting the lion's share of the carries. Coach, do you think that this could eventually be a real opportunity for Roschon Johnson moving forward to say, I can be that number 1 guy. I should be the number 1 here.
It's the biggest opportunity, right? If you ask me, right? It's an opportunity, the biggest opportunity. And even if this staff were to stay, God forbid, this staff were to stay, you know what I'm saying? The number one thing they can decide, because it seems like we always do it a little bit different than everybody else. If you look at Detroit, they have the ground and pound guy and they have the change-up guy, right? They lead with the ground and pound guy, you know what I'm saying, and David Montgomery to soften defenses up, and then they go to their change-up guy. For whatever reason, we do it backwards, right? We start with the change-up guy. This again, maybe it's this new age football or whatever, but you know what I'm saying? It's the biggest opportunity. Have a guy lined up that can play Chicago-style football. I was really interested in seeing how the offense changed anyway once it started getting colder in the city anyway, right? If we would lead with that and start going with more run-based offense, or we sit here and try to be New England and throw it around. We're not old New England, right? I just don't think you can get away with that in Chicago to try and be, offensive juggernaut once it gets so cold in the city. So I think it's the biggest opportunity besides really solidifying who can actually play up front and who can't. I think it's the biggest opportunity to figure out Roschon's a guy or not. I like Khalil, but I don't know. I don't know. I just believe Khalil's just like a change-up guy. I might be by myself.
Two quick points, Coach. I love the Detroit analogy there, but answer me this question: what did Detroit do first before they got good? What did they build up?
You already know.
Their offense and defensive lines before they went and got their ground and pound running it. They're specialty guys, right? That's what I'm talking about. And PJ Walker, guys, just helped beat the. Now he didn't do it by himself, but PJ Walker looked like an XFL quarterback here with the Bears. Okay, and he was lost and confused. He's a veteran. He just helped, the Browns beat the 49ers. So it just tells you more about this coaching staff and their inability to get the best out of these players.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
we got a big offensive line draft coming up, right? We have an opportunity, so I know a lot of people, a lot of the debate about, what I'm saying, if Justin's a guy to, not the guy. I was tweeting last night and realized people just didn't realize the scenarios that play out. And this is why you want to root for Justin be the guy. If Justin's a guy and we can go out and say, for example, the best scenario for the Bears is to have Arizona want Caleb Williams, right? Want that number 1. Arizona has 2 first-round picks. You make that part of the deal, we can end up with 3 first-rounders in an offensive heavy draft, right? And you can get your wide receiver and you can get 2 good tackles or 2 good offensive linemen and be off to the races, right? So I don't know. It's maybe it's too much forward thinking already or whatever. It's just, we have to find a little small nuggets of things we can grasp hold to with this team, right? It's I don't know.
Coach, it's never too forward thinking when your team's 1-5 and you're trying to figure out what the direction of your team is. Moving forward, next week they host the Raiders, which I'm sure is just going to be I can't believe that's not the game of the week. Right. They got the Raiders coming into Soldier Field.
They should play it at 9 a.m.
Yeah, well, I'm actually going to be at that game, so I might be seeing Tyson Bagent take on Jimmy Garoppolo. But Danny, moving forward, you said if Justin's out for a significant period of time, you can't see them winning another game, or at least being I can't see them being favored in another game. But like, can you imagine them actually losing out?
I could. I mean, it's hard for me to go out and see them, winning. Now, again, Tyson Bagent, I tweeted earlier, I'm like, it's unfair to put him in this situation versus this aggressive defense and kind of just say, oh, this guy's good or bad or whatever. Obviously, there's a long way to go. He's got some positives. I do like the size of 6'3", 216, 217. He's got some moxie. This kid, it doesn't appear like the setting or the stage is too high for him, or he's got the deer in the headlights look. He looks like he's calm. He's cool in the pocket. I like that. I like his pocket presence. So he's got a quick release. We saw that today. He's able to get rid of that ball real quickly. So there's a possibility this kid could go out there and maybe surprise all of us and grow and make plays down the football field. Obviously, you would need the running attack there. I'm not with the hate Khalil Herbert club. I do like Khalil Herbert here. Obviously, Deontay Foreman, Rashawn Johnson, that group there. You will lean on that. Hopefully, you get the offensive line back healthy. Nate Davis, we'll see how that is in terms of that's a long term or short term. That looked nasty. Someone fell on the back of his leg. I thought it might could have been knee. It looks like it was an ankle injury. So if it's a high ankle sprain, he's probably off for 4 weeks. So again, now you're rotating guys in and out. Hopefully get Braxton Jones back here pretty soon. I think he's back or he's eligible back for the Raiders game. Kind of hopefully solidify that left side of the offensive line. If you get, and guys, by the way, today, again, just on a TV copy, Tevin Jenkins was the best offensive lineman out there for me today. Again, I got to go back and see the all 22, but if you get Braxton Jones back, Tevin continues playing the way he's playing. Whitehair got benched because of his snaps is my assumption. And we got to, rectify that. But if you solidify center and then you got, obviously Nate Davis is out, but Darnell Wright is a rookie who's taking his lumps right now, but he's got potential to be a solid starter at the right side. Got to fill in probably with Jatir Carter, I'm assuming there at right guard for Nate Davis. So if you can solidify the offensive line, give Bagent some time to get rid of the football. I mean, we'll see what happens, but it's not all hope is lost kind of thing. Like there are still some things you look forward to, like Tyson is one of them. The development of the offensive line, getting a cohesive unit out there is something I look forward to seeing. Hopefully, develop in the next second half of the season. But yeah, in terms of going out there, John, and picking this team to beat anybody, I mean, again, how many times have we said this? This is a game that was a opportunity for them to pull a victory. And just they somehow end up losing the game, whether they're unprepared, whether there's turnovers, whether there's just coaching issues, whatever it is. It's hard for me to say go out there. The Bears are going to win this game. Just all right, pick them.
I'd like you to expand on one of those things you said, because right now Bears fans are trying to figure out a reason to watch the game. What's the motivation? I mean, other than you're going to watch the Bears, because I know I'm the same way. I'm going to watch the Bears no matter what. I don't need motivation to watch the team. But why are you watching? I guess would be the different reason now, because they're not going to make the playoffs. They're not going to make a deep run. Justin Fields could be out. So what is there to look for? And you mentioned Darnell Wright, maybe Roshan Johnson, maybe the progression of Bagent. What are these things that we should be keying in on here? I realize that it's still not that deep into the season and there's a lot of games left, but what should we be looking for in the future?
Well, what I'm going to be looking for is I'm going to look at something that I've been knocking the staff for is player development. I want to see guys get better, right? I want to see, Kyle Gordon today. I mean, he played today, but I think he might have been on a snap count.
It looks like we might have Matt Eberflus at the podium now. At least he looks like he's ready to talk. We'll see.
Okay, first of all, I want to thank the fans. They really did a great job. We really noticed it on defense. I know the defensive players were talking about it. On third downs, getting loud, and made it hard for the Vikings offense today. So I really want to appreciate and thank them for that. In terms of injury update, we do have Justin Fields injured his right hand, and we're evaluating it right now. We did take an X-ray. The X-ray is negative. In terms of that, and then we'll see where it is tomorrow when we get the MRI. So that's all I know right now. That's all I have on that. Nate, same thing as ankle, did not return. We'll see where it is tomorrow. We'll get more information on that as well. And then Eddie left the game and was questionable. Could have came back, injured his foot a little bit during the game. Didn't feel 100%, but he could have came back if we needed him due to injury. And that's all I have. I thought that the game, played out, the way we wanted it to in some spots. But we need to do a better job with the ball. We obviously giving the ball away that many times, certainly at -2. That's a hard way to win. And the percentages aren't in your favor, so the defense has to get it out more, and we got to do a better job of protecting it in terms of that. But there's some good things in there, but obviously didn't get the W and disappointed in that. And we'll see where we are with the injuries going forward. With that, I'll open up the questions.
Understanding of what they're looking for with the MRI with Justin to see.
Yeah, so with him, he wanted to come back in the game, and that's really all I have, in terms of that. But he just couldn't grip the ball to throw it right now. So we'll see where it is. Like I said, the MRI, that's all I have. We'll know more information tomorrow, and that's where it is.
What went into the change made at center in the third quarter?
Yeah. So the change at center, Lucas obviously was going through concussion protocol during the week, and we thought when obviously Justin went out and we had Tyson in there, we thought it was best for our team to have the guy that had more experience in there playing center. And that's the position that we have. That Lucas has played a long time. He's got a lot of experience in there. We thought that would settle Bajent down a little bit.
That wasn't related at all to the snap issues?
No, it was just more about settling down and putting a guy that had more experience at center. We feel good about both guys, and obviously we've switched guys around during the course of the year. Guard, center, we're going to have to continue to do that based on where Nate is. We'll see, but we like our flexibility in there.
Yeah, I decided a couple weeks ago to make Bajent the number 2 and Nate the emergency. What went into that? And for a guy who's never taken an NFL snap to get thrown into it, is that something you guys were comfortable with compared to Nate?
Yeah, we were comfortable with it, and that's why we made the decision. So it's really he created that opportunity during practice, and during the meetings, and we're evaluating everything. So he really created that himself, and we thought that was best going forward that he was the number 2.
Yeah, what kind of impact do you think Bajent had just on the operation of your offense?
I thought he started out was not great at first, right? But again, that's everybody. That's 11 guys in there operating. But I think once he got settled down, he put that drive together. Then you could see what he could do. He could do off schedule stuff. He can escape. Made a nice a few nice throws there, and his mobility is good. I thought his timing was good on a lot of those passes that he threw. So I thought he looked good. In that one drive, and again at the very end, in that interception, again the protection has got to be more solid in that particular play, and he can't put the ball in harm's way.
How did what he did today affect any decision you might need to make as far as him playing more quarterback if Justin's out? Is he still?
Yeah, we'll look at that. We'll evaluate that. Again, we believe in Tyson. We obviously had him at number 2 for a reason, and we feel strong about that.
What's your identity especially now that Justin Fields is out? What's your identity, and is it going to have to change now that that Bajent is going to be number 1?
Yeah, again, we'll see where Justin is. We'll see where it is. Like I said, the X-ray was negative. We'll see where he is going forward. But again, we're going to have to really do a great job of evaluating that where it is and putting our guys in position to make plays, and that's what our job is as coaches. So in terms of the identity of it, we're going to have to look hard and see how we can get the ball down the field, score points. And that's the number one thing that we got to do.
What did you say to him before he went into the game, and how would you describe his demeanor?
His demeanor was great. It's always great. He's cool, calm, collected. You could see that out there. He was that way the entire time. I thought he had good command when he was out there in terms of getting the plays out. There was no really snafus there in terms of that with the operation. But we really like where he is. And, we just said to him, hey, you got this, and he went out there. And as a backup quarterback, you always know you're one play away from playing the entire game. So that's what he got. He's there for, and that's what he got called on to do.
Yeah, before Justin got hurt, the offense was not going well. Were you guys struggling with the blitz? Was there difficulty picking up the blitz, or lack of a schematic adjustment to the blitzes that Minnesota was?
Yeah, I'll have to go back and look at the tape, but definitely for sure, there were some protection things in there where we had to, do a better job. It certainly wasn't clean all the time, but I certainly think we got a rhythm a little bit there going. And again, we just got to do a better job with the overall execution there. But again, we gave ourselves a chance to win the game at the end, and we just didn't get it done.
What was the coaching point on the strip sack for Tyson?
It's you always want to have 2 hands on the ball in there. But again, it's everybody. When you're in the pocket there, you got to do a great job of feeling that and then riding up the pocket. to deliver the ball. When you have two hands on the ball, you're obviously the ball security is going to be better there.
On the replay, it seems to me that TJ was able to secure that fumble on the sideline. Obviously, they overturned it. They give you further explanation for why they chose to overturn the initial call?
Yeah, I mean, in a game like today, there's not a bunch of cameras out here, so there's not a bunch of looks. And then when they do overturn the call on the field, there must be a pretty good evidence to say it's clear and obvious for that. So that's where it was, and they said it was clear and obvious that he was not inbound. So
Can you talk to Justin after the game, and how would you describe this?
his demeanor's great. Yeah, he's great. He goes, Coach, we'll see where it is tomorrow, and he was positive and he was upbeat.
What do you see out of Deontay Foreman and Darren Evans coming in both Cole? What do you say about that?
Yeah, I thought we ran the ball well. In terms of running efficiency, it was good. Obviously, when he fumbled that one ball, I told him, hey, that's just one time. I said, you got lucky on that one. And I told him, hey, you just got to make sure you secure it the rest of the way, and he did. I love the way he got down north and south. He really did a nice job with that. He created a lot of those momentum plays for that drive at the end that we had, and really good. And then Evans, obviously we're lucky to have him last year. So he was be able to put in the mix in a short notice and be able to operate. So both guys did well.
You guys were in dime a lot more on third down today. What does that allow you to do better in those situations?
You can just variation of coverage. You can do a lot of different things with that, because you got some cover guys back, which was good to see. And, we'll base it on our matchups, every single week to see where we are. If we think we match up better in dime, we'll do that, or we'll just play nickel. But again, that's a week-to-week thing.
DJ Moore had only one target in the first half after such a big week last week. How does that happen?
Yeah, obviously we got to look at that. That's not what we want. We want to target him. We want to be able to look, obviously feature him. And I think he had 8 at the end total and 5 catches. But again, we certainly want to target our skill. No question about it.
And how do you fight the feelings that maybe there's some regression to creeping a lot after having the win and then coming to have a loss like this? How do you fight people feeling big down at this?
I just think it's the morale of the team is based on each individual man. We got guys that have fighters' hearts, and they're always going to be sticking in there together. They were at the game, they saw it, they know what it was. When you go -2 in a football game, it's going to be hard to win. And if we would have flipped that +2, I bet we would have won the game. So to me, it's all about that, and it's all about us doing our detail. Certainly we fought hard in the game. I'm proud of the guys for what they did, but we didn't come out with the victory, and mainly it's because of the ball.
And until you find out about Justin, whether it's tomorrow or whatever, what kind of preparations do you as a head coach have to make to be prepared for the possibility that Bajent might be your guy? Like even just overnight, what kind of thing? What's going to go into your thinking to be prepared for that possibility?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we have a contingency plan, with him coming back. With Justin, if he is back, that's fine. But if he isn't, obviously we've already, put that plan in place. With Bajent. So you'll see that come to fruition here coming shortly if it indeed is the case.
There you have it. Head coach Matt Eberflus at the podium. A couple takeaways. Danny, before I throw it over to you, I don't know if you just change centers for the sake of changing centers. Like if Whitehair was playing really well, you're just like, I don't know, Lucas Patrick has more experience, let's just change you out. I don't think that's usually how that works there. And then also sounds like at least some good news as far as there's no structural damage, I guess, with the x-rays coming back negative on Justin Fields' hand. We'll have to wait and see what an MRI says. There could be ligament damage. It could be hyperextended. There could be something in there. And sometimes those linger more than, broken bones do. So we'll just have to wait and see what the news is coming out of that. But how did you take that, Presser?
Well, John, I've talked about other shows that, you can't lose the team, right? If you're a coach and you lose a team, the first and almost way of losing the team is lying to them to their face. And I think the same thing happens with the fan base. Our fans are intelligent. We are intelligent. We know what you're talking about. Don't sit up there and tell us that you benched Cody Whitehair because of the feel that Tyson Bajent had with Lucas Patrick. What's his name? Whitehair was in there in her first couple of snaps with Bajent, and if it wasn't for those bad snaps or that bad snap that he had, he probably will still be in there. So that's the thing. Don't lie. Just be honest. Just say, there were some snap issues, and we just, decided to, put Whitehair down, and that's it. It's move on. Players don't, they respect when they're being told the truth, and so does a fan base. And I just don't like to be disrespected by being lied to. That's the one thing with Eberflus. In terms of Justin, yeah, that's the good news. At least there's no breaks, because I think the X-ray would have identified if there was a broken bone or something like that, or a broken wrist. But the only thing is, I believe now the MRI will, and correct me if I'm wrong, will determine if there's any sort of ligament tear or anything like that. So,
and here we go, Tyson Bagent at the podium.
Yeah, kind of just like what you said, DJ Moore, one of the best receivers in the world. One-on-one, anytime we can get that, we like it. Underthrew it there a little bit, and that's on me, and that's something that I got to fix going forward.
Is that a result of depression?
No, I think that's just a result of me. Underthrowing the ball. Got to give my guy a chance. Note that, watch the film, and correct it for next week.
Was there any talk with you and Luke in your ear about waiting for 2-minute warning, that situation? Did you guys want to get that chance off the board?
No, there was no communication of that. We're operating well on that drive. We're doing a good job of moving the ball, both in the run game and pass game. So, kind of want to keep things rolling, and not give the defense time to get a break and re-rally up.
How different was this than a preseason game?
Yeah, it's different. A lot more. You don't pressure as much in the preseason, just because you want to see guys play fast and do their specific job. But football is football. Football field's the same size, 11 on 11. You're either going to throw the ball or pass the ball. So I thought it was similar, but different with the different pressures that they were showing.
How did you feel coming out of your first regular season game, throwing in a pinch like that? How did you feel? How many butterflies? Confident? Were you talking about how you felt going in?
Yeah, excited. Playing football is my job, so I enjoy playing football. So I was excited to get out there. Obviously, butterflies. You're playing in front of so many people, and the stakes are high. In the NFL, but felt really prepared. Felt like the coaches did a good job of always preparing all the quarterbacks. Week in and week out, just because it's always one play away. So felt good, felt prepared, and excited.
Can you take us through this?
Say it again.
After the game, how was he?
He was good. Yeah, he was good. Asked me how I was, told him I was good, and that was the extent of it.
Tyson, can you take us through the strip sack?
Yeah, so a little bit of miscommunication, but at the end of the day, I got to keep two hands on the ball. I got to protect the ball. That's, a big job of mine, when I'm out there. So got to keep two hands on the ball and be more efficient in that area.
When you come to the sideline after a strip sack touchdown in your first drive, how in the world do you reset?
You just got, you just got to play the next play. That's something that has always been preached to me. And, it'll do you no good kind of harping on, the pass or the last play. We got to, think forward, move forward. And, we had a game to, try and win. So there wasn't really any time to sit back and think about that.
How did it feel to get in the end zone?
I felt good, always a dream for every young kid, every young football player to play in the NFL. So the fact that I was able to, make it here, get in the end zone, it felt good.
So when were you aware that the center change was happening, and what did Lucas bring for you there?
Say it again.
When were you aware that the center change was happening, and what did Lucas bring for you there?
Yeah, both times when I initially got in, I took snaps with Cody. Second drive going in, took snaps with Lucas. Felt really comfortable with both those guys, and I think everybody, the offense as a whole, did a good job, having my back and rallying around me and, making me feel good, while I was in. So I appreciated that.
Have you predominantly taken more snaps from one or the other in practice, just being with the twos? Who are you taking snaps from?
I do a good job mixing it up. More times than not, I'm taking scout team reps with neither of those guys, but I make sure that, everybody, each center kind of snaps it a little bit different, especially under center. In the gun, it's kind of, it's pretty similar, but make sure I mix it up, getting under center snaps throughout the week and in pregame with all those guys.
I know that most teams don't practice with their backups a whole lot during the week. How many snaps do you have in practice that work with the scout team this week?
A handful whenever Justin has a long play or he needs to communicate about something that happened on the last play, they'll throw me in there. But most of the time, it's Justin's show, and, we let him get as prepared as he possibly can for the week coming.
A lot of guys describe you as cool, calm, and collected. Is there anything you do to steady your nerves in these anxious moments, or is that just something inside?
I think it just comes from kind of not being okay until I have the game plan down. So kind of, putting the pressure on myself to get everything down, understand, what's going on in the game and what my operation needs to be. And then after that, it just all comes down to playing football and playing fast. So I'd say that's where it comes from.
Moving forward, if you are QB1 next week, how confident are you leading this team to a victory?
Yeah, I'm, obviously very confident in myself. And, nothing changes for me. Since day one, I've been preparing as if I was going to play the whole game. That's just, how I kind of approach the game. I like to know what's going on at all times. So nothing really is going to change for this week. Back to the drawing board, get ready for Vegas this coming week.
Tyson, even though composure is a big part of your game, but this has to be a little bit of a whirlwind for you this whole day. What is the prevailing emotion you're feeling right now after a game like this? That you're just playing, getting in, good things, bad things, everything. What is the prevailing emotion you're feeling after a day like today?
I think more than anything, just wanting a couple of those plays back. Obviously, would have liked a different outcome in the game. I think after you kind of process and think about that, just extremely grateful for, the life I've been blessed with. Not a lot of people get to do what I do and win in victory or defeat. So, I'm just, super thankful for my family, super thankful for, all my past relationships that helped me get to this moment. But, first we, like to get back to the drawing board and get a couple of those plays back and correct it, for next week.
How much anticipation of what might happen, or just excitement about what did happen? How much of that is are you feeling?
I think more so than anything, the most important thing in the NFL is to win, and we didn't win. So I think just kind of like what I said before, wanting to obviously win first, and then after that, just being excited that I was able to play quarterback in the NFL in a real game.
Are your parents here? Is your family here?
Yeah, my pop's here. A couple of my friends are here, and my godparents are here. So there was a couple people here for me.
What was that like after the game? Actually getting to see them after you played.
I haven't seen him yet, so I'm gonna go see him after this.
On the touchdown drive you guys did put together, what left an impression on you about that entire march? Obviously started with Deontay and you guys kept it rolling. I
think just all 11, just operating in sync, throwing the ball, passing the ball, protection was good. I thought we were running the ball well. I thought we got in the end zone on the play before. So, anytime you can run the ball effectively, and mix in the passes here and there, especially for, a young guy coming in the game, I think that will serve the offense well, and it definitely did on that drive.
Last one, what things do you think you can carry over next week, knowing that this defense didn't prepare for you next week, they will be iffy, honestly?
Yeah, nothing changes for me. Whatever the defense shows week to week, we're going to study that. We're going to put it together, dissect it. The coaches are going to put together another great, game plan. The players are going to study it, get it right, and look forward to, getting a victory next week. Somebody did. Somebody had to have. I don't know.
There you have it, Tyson Bagent at the podium. If nothing else, he seems like he's already media trained. He seemed very confident in front of the media there. And it's not like he's a 20-year-old, 21-year-old rookie. He is 23 years old up there. He's still obviously a rookie, but he's on the older side of that, and he seemed to handle himself well in front of the media. I'm not saying that's going to translate into being a great quarterback, but he seemed like he was pretty calm, cool, and collected facing those questions. And then, of course, he was not probably anticipating on talking to the media when he woke up this morning, and then just like he wasn't anticipating being thrown into the game. So depending on how long Justin Fields is out, if he's out at all, we're still waiting on some of those results. He'll probably get an MRI tomorrow, but we'll see how that progresses. But what did you take away from Tyson Bagent's press conference, Danny?
Yeah. And this moment is not too big for him. And that's one thing you see a lot of these rookies that get thrown in there, especially guys come from Division II. It's the big jump in terms of talent, in terms of speed of the game and everything. And he's always got that calm demeanor. I'm sure his heart's racing at 100 miles an hour inside of his body, but it never exudes that. And I think that's something that you take and you tip your hat to him, especially for a young kid. One thing you mentioned, he's 23 years old, but he's had a ton of starts. I believe the number is like almost 50 starts, career starts at college. I understand Division II, but it's still football is football to some certain extent, right? So the one thing that this is we were talking about earlier before he came on, like things I'm looking forward to watching the rest of the season. He's one of them. He's a guy that again in the preseason really surprised me. Where came out, again, showed that moxie, showed the understanding of the pocket awareness, showed a quick release, a better or more of an underrated athlete than overall I think people anticipated. And a guy could maybe roll off in the pocket and, move that launch angle for him as well. So, obviously he's not the overall athlete that Justin is. And I think you're going to have to, kind of maybe hopefully, we touched on it earlier, hopefully kind of allow him to kind of grow into this offense and use that running game to kind of help him feed off of that. But, depending on how long Justin is out, depending on what the coaching staffs out there, what their, criteria is in terms of what they're going to try and get out of this kid right away, we'll see. But he's something that he's one guy that I'm curious to see. Like I'm going to tune in to see how this guy does, his first NFL start. If it starts next week, what I'm assuming it's going to be his first NFL start. And then also see some of the young guys on, we talked about Darnell Wright. Is he going to get better throughout the season? Braxton Jones coming back from injury, is he better from the first year, last year? I was a big Braxton Jones fan, but these first 2 games this year really kind of disappointed me. So I want to see him bounce back and get better there. Obviously, Tevin Jenkins, I think could be a guy that you kind of hopefully pencil in there, health, providing he's an easy left guard there. And then obviously you got some spots to work with there at center. So there are things that you look forward to seeing. Defensively today, I think they rallied around the football much better than they have in the past. Obviously, I think Minnesota was a one attack, offense, and the running game really was horrible. So I think that, in terms of just the passing game was going to be their, bread and butter. And without Justin Jefferson, they're missing a big piece, but still they have some weapons. And I think the defense, only gave up 19 points and 7 of those came on that scoop and score. So I think defense played better today. So we'll see if that continues to develop there as well. But yeah, I mean, there are little things right now you're looking for, and mainly is player development. Do you have building blocks here that you can, move on forward, whether it's this staff or different staff, in future. So there are things to look forward to. But unfortunately, in terms of the season, yeah, it's pretty much, there's not going to be any playoffs or anything like that, in my opinion.
No, I don't think anyone has that true opinion. You can hope for it, but I don't know if anyone has that true opinion.
The one thing, are you guys, anybody in the chat or John, do you watch Yellowstone by any chance?
No, but I'm sure a lot of people in the chat room do.
So I keep looking at Tyson Bagent. I'm like, he reminds me of someone. And it's a character from Yellowstone named Jimmy. So I don't know if anyone in the chat, you guys agree with it or not, but take a look at the character Jimmy from Yellowstone. Tyson Bagent has that facial feature.
Well, now I gotta have to do a side by side. Is he a gunslinger? Because that would work out well for Tyson Bagent.
No, he's a cowboy. He's a cowboy.
Oh, he's a cowboy. Hey, that's all right. We could use a cowboy. That's fine. We can win some games with a cowboy. But anything else before we put a bow on this, Danny? There's like I said, there's only so many things you can talk about after a very similar performance. Kind of cyclical with this team. But anything else before we wrap this up?
No, I think we pretty much covered the gamut here. Obviously, we'll look to see how long Justin Fields will be out. Obviously the negative on the X-ray means there's no broken bones, but there could also be some ligament damage, and I think that's what the MRI is going to confirm. So moving forward, if it is going to be Tyson Bagent, I want to see what this coaching staff does differently in terms of game planning, if anything at all. Defensively, again, there are some players there that you want to take a look at. Eddie Jackson re-hurt his foot again, according to Eberflus. That's not a good sign. Is his time in Chicago coming to an end here? So we'll see what we'll go ahead and do here. But yeah, I mean, there are things to look forward to, but unfortunately, it's going to be just like the same old thing that we've had the last couple of seasons. Just look forward to player development, see if anyone proves that they are a building block here for the future, and then we'll just wait and see to the end of the season if there's any end of season press conferences where firings are announced.
All right, before we head out, apparently we do have a picture of Jimmy that you were talking about from Yellowstone. I'm going into this blind, so okay, is that Tyson Bagent? We'll leave that up to the people in the chat. You see this. And do you
obviously minus the mullet, right? Tyson's got the mullet going, but
right. Okay, I'll have to do a little bit more research on this. A little side by side.
I put one in our chat as well, and on our message board.
Oh yeah, I think I was wondering who that was. When you said, I'm like, I don't know who this guy is. What are we doing? So there. Now we have a nice side by side to go there as well. So all right, Danny, that about wraps this edition of Bear Football up. Appreciate you being with us throughout this time. Appreciate everybody in the chat room sticking with us. We love when you bring we get half the content off the conversations that go into the chat room. So we appreciate you being active in there. But that will do it for this edition of Bear Football. Thank you. Whether it's the live version, the podcast version, the audio version, the video version, we appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. And we'll be with you throughout the entire season. So for Danny Shimon, I'm John Buffone. Appreciate Aldo Gandia working the controls in the background. We'll see you next time, everybody.